Please bear with me, as this story is quite lengthy, but I hope you find it worth the read. I'd also like to emphasize that I've personally left out identifying details to protect the privacy and respect the memory of the victims involved. If you happen to know the real life events behind this story, I ask your discretion in understanding, as the purpose of sharing it is for my own catharsis and reflection. Thank you for your consideration and respect for the victims. In the heart of the southern university town, where the campus and the local community intertwined, I embarked on a fateful night that would haunt my memories for years to come. I was just 20, a junior in college, eager to savor the newfound thrill going out to bars with friends who, like me, possessed fake IDs. The atmosphere was charged with youthful energy, and I reveled in attention from guys who were more than willing to buy me drinks. It was my first taste of some attention, and I played it up, basking in the newfound allure of adulthood. As I headed to the bar to procure another round of drinks for my friends, I encountered Jay, a man who would cast a sinister shadow over that night. He was a townie, one of those locals who often referred to with a mix of condescension and pity. In this college-centric universe, many townies were drawn to the bars, their troubled lives intersecting with the students' carefree world. Jay didn't seem particularly ominous at first. He struck up a conversation with me, bought me a drink, and we engaged in a seemingly pleasant exchange. But as the night wore on, he grew increasingly agitated when I declined to give him my number. His mood shifted, and he began making a scene, prompting my friends to intervene and to extricate me from his presence. Yet even as we distanced ourselves from him, I couldn't shake the eerie feeling that his predatory gaze never wavered. It wasn't the gaze of someone interested in romance. It was a chilling, warning stare. Desperate to escape his unsettling presence, I decided to join the guy I was seeing at the time, who was at the bar just across from ours. These bars were mere feet apart in a pedestrian mall, so I thought nothing of going there alone. My car was parked conveniently nearby, and I took refuge inside to charge my phone for a few minutes before heading to meet my friends. But soon as I sat there, I heard the car door open. It was Jay. The stranger had followed me from the first bar and now sat in my car as if we were old friends. Oblivious to the terror he instilled in me, I was paralyzed with fear, unsure of how to react. He seemed alarmingly normal, completely unaware of the distress he was causing. It was a situation that grew scarier by the second, as I realized the gravity of the peril I was in. Thankfully, within what felt like an eternity, but was probably just a couple of minutes, the guy I was seeing flung open the door and asked if I was okay. Relief washed over me as I explained what just transpired through my tears, my voice trembling with fear. He had arrived at just the right moment, a guardian angel in the darkness. His presence sent Jay packing, like a child who had been caught misbehaving. If it weren't for his intervention, who knows where I would be now and what sinister plans Jay might have had in mind. The nightmarish episode faded from my immediate consciousness, buried beneath the demands of daily life. But a year later, it resurfaced in the most chilling manner possible. A fellow junior, H, went missing, sending shockwaves through the campus and making national headlines. Search teams scoured the area and the nation held its breath as they discovered the security footage of her leaving a bar, followed by a man, Jay. The search ultimately ended in tragedy as H's lifeless body was found. The police investigation led to the capture of a killer, and it sent shockwaves through the university community. Jay had not only taken H's life, but also had been responsible for the deaths of two other girls, making him a serial killer. Witness reports, news articles from those who last saw H say she was telling Jay, "I'll not get in the car with you." Jay is currently serving 4 life sentences. I had never shared this haunting experience with anyone beyond my closest friends and husband, fearing judgment and repercussions from my conservative upbringing. But now, returning to that town, the memories resurfaced with a vengeance. Some scars never truly fade, and that night, when I narrowly escaped the clutches of this killer named Jay, remains etched in my memory as a chilling reminder of darkness that can lurk in even the most seemingly ordinary places. P.S. I haven't read any more updates on him since graduating 22 years old until today. I'm 30 now. In these 8 years, Jay has 2 or 3 more SA and murders to his name. I can't believe this freak was in my car, and I'm so grateful to all my angels. I am an older woman, and back when I was young, things were different. You could hitchhike from creepy guys in vans. We called them hippies. But it was also a time when serial killers roamed free. I grew up on a farm in South Carolina. No paved roads and not a lot of communication from the outside world. My best friend and I decided to walk to the only store slash post office gas station for some candy. Highly unusual because we never had any money. As we were walking, this car came driving by really slow. We didn't think anything about it because the roads are not the best. We were not the most worldly kids, and no one ever told us about strange danger. We knew everyone and talked to anyone. We said hi. Well, this car passed, and then we see it turn around. Didn't think much about it. Then it came up to us and stopped. I might not have known what danger from a stranger was, but I had this horrible, nauseous feeling when I looked in the car. Like you see, an animal predator, and don't know what you should do. All I know is I had a feeling of let's run. My friend must have not gotten that feeling because she went up right to the car. The man was greasy and dirty. We were used to seeing people like that out working. He asked us if we wanted a ride. She said sure, and I said nah, we need a walk. She looked so mad at me, like I had ruined the day. So I said she was going to walk with me. I could see his hand move like he was going to open the door, and I had a feeling of dread. Everything started to go in slow motion, so I grabbed my friend's arm and pulled her back. Just then another car was coming from the opposite way, and he drove off. She was so mad at me for hurting her arm, and I did leave a couple bruises. A few years later, she came over and looked like she was going to pass out. She had a newspaper in her hand and couldn't say anything, so I looked at it, and it was the same man who had tried to get us in his car. His name was Pee Wee Gaskins. And y'all, please don't be afraid to hurt someone's feelings. I was literally taught to obey every adult, but if I had, we wouldn't be here today. Arm yourself. Doesn't matter if it's a firearm, taser, pepper spray, or a knife. People are not nice. Mental illness is out of control. Criminals outnumber us. Always be aware. Always follow your gut. Back when I was 18, female, working in a fancy hotel, the maintenance man, 25 male, was handsome, hardworking, and funny. Over time, we created a friendship and found myself comfortable in his presence. After a few months, he asked me out on a date. We ended up going for dinner and then for some drinks. I asked him what his last name was, and he replied it was White. I thought nothing of it, and we moved on. The next day at work, I noticed that his name tag actually revealed his last name was Morrison. I never questioned this to him, but immediately I found out this to be very strange. When I got home, I told my mom, who immediately said red flag. A few hours later, she comes up to my room with a panic saying that the very man I went on a date with had beat someone to death when he was 17. He bullied and chased the younger victim to a dead end, and where he acted out a prolonged and vicious attack that was so severe that the victim had to have a closed coffin. My mom is an avid investigator when it comes to these things. We never went out again, but I did have to see him at work, which made it very awkward. A few years ago, a friend of mine from school also stabbed a man to death, and another friend punched someone in the face, and they died as a result of their injuries.